All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story, Armz Korleone. I want to do a curl story to start out this video. I know you guys love a good curl story. So, cheat curling, 100 kgs, 220 pounds for multiple reps. I think 5+ reps he got in this video. So, he weighs, I believe, 200 pounds or less. Cheat curling, I should say, 220 pounds, which is 29 pounds lighter than the current strict curl world record. Now, I do want to point out here that he's using a different variation of the curl bar. Now, I've seen a lot of guys use this, and they've gotten a much heavier curl when using this bar that's got a little bit of a curvier look to it, and they grip it on the inside, and for that reason, it's more like a hammer curl than a bicep curl. You're engaging your forearms a lot more, and that's probably why you can see he supersets it with dumbbell curls. And those dumbbell curls, he's doing hammer curls for those. They're not regular dumbbell bicep curls. Now, as far as I'm aware, as far as the strict curl is concerned, I don't know of any rules actually preventing you from using this type of grip or this type of bar in competition. Maybe there's some competitions that use this kind of bar, but I've seen Larry, I believe Larry hit his heaviest strict curl using this curled bar, this curved bar, I should say. Ivan Makarov, I believe, was using this same curled bar. Leonidas Arcana, I've seen him using this same curved bar. And there is actually a significant difference because I actually ordered one of these bars because I saw these guys using it. And when I used it, I could curl a lot more than I could curl on a regular curl bar just because of the difference of the grip. It's just a different feel, and you engage your forearms a lot more. And it's not really just strictly bicep. So for that reason, I'm not surprised that he's able to do 220 pounds. So we've seen him do some pretty crazy weight with a straight bar. But from my experience and from what I've seen, you can definitely curl more on one of these extra curvy bars with an inside grip, kind of a hammer curl variation there. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you guys get one of these bars, let me know if you guys can curl more using this curvier bar. I think I found mine on eBay and it was like 70 or 80 bucks. I've got 3 or 4 different curl bars now, and that one so far is the easiest one to curl on, and I can definitely use a heavier weight on that bar than any other bar. So just keep that in mind when you see videos of heavy curls using that extra wavy bar that you don't typically see. But shout out to Armz Korleone. Now, next up in the news, I want to talk about some impressive deadlifts. Now, these were technically block deadlifts. Both of them were done off of an 18-inch elevation. So the first one, Jerry Pritchett. So Jerry Pritchett just did an 18-inch basically block deadlift with 502 kgs. Now, the reason why that's noteworthy is because just like a week ago, the world record deadlift attempt for a regular deadlift, obviously not a block deadlift, was for 502 kgs because the world record right now in the deadlift is 501. Therefore, 502 would break it. So the first video I saw was Jerry Pritchett doing this 502. Now, I saw another video as well. Terry Hollins, another strongman competitor. I should mention both these guys are strongman competitors. They compete at the World's Strongest Man. Terry Hollins, who I believe is lighter than Jerry Pritchett, he just also did an 18-inch deadlift where he pulled 520 kgs. Nearly 18 kgs heavier than what Jerry pulled, and that would be 19 kgs heavier than the current world record of a regular deadlift held by Hafthor Julius Bjornsson. So I just thought it was noteworthy in today's video that both of these impressive deadlifts from the same elevation happened today, and definitely, the fact that they were 2 weeks after this world record deadlift attempt by Ivan Makarov, who attempted the 502. I thought it was interesting. So give this video a thumbs up for actually talking about some real strength and power on today's Nick Strength and Power news update. Now, next up in the news, let's go ahead and switch over to bodybuilding and classic physique. Let's start with classic physique here. Logan Franklin sent me these photos 8 weeks out from the 2020 Mr. Olympia. Obviously, there's been a lot of back and forth between Logan Franklin and your current classic physique Mr. Olympia, Chris Bumstead. Logan is trying to make a run at that title, and he sent me these 2 back shots. One of my favorite back shots that he does is this twisted back double bicep, kind of an imitation of Arnold's famous pose, but he also does a variation of that pose with kind of a tricep pose that he kind of invented himself. And again, that's one of the things that I really like about Logan is he really takes some initiative with his posing. He's got some really unique posing methods. And I think in classic physique, that's a very valuable characteristic, someone that's willing to kind of go the extra mile in their posing, especially in that division. So he looks really good. He's almost got striated glutes at 8 weeks out from the classic physique Olympia. It's a very two-sided conversation here. There's a lot of people that think Logan is way off of Chris Bumstead's level. And there's another group of people that think that Logan Franklin in the future could be the main contender to Chris Bumstead because he does have a really good structure, but some say he would need to put on a little bit of size to be able to hang with a guy like Chris Bumstead. Me personally, I think he's got a great structure, and I think he's going to do fantastic at this year's Classic Physique Olympia. So shout out to Logan. Now, next up in the news, Labrada Nutrition was kind enough to sponsor today's video. Yet again, I love Labrada Nutrition. They've been really, really supportive of this channel. There will be a link in the description box below if you want to check out their products. And without further ado, here is the Labrada Nutrition commercial. Now, next up in the news, let's talk about bodybuilding again. Regan Grimes posted a physique update. So Regan is just a few weeks out. I believe he is less than 3 weeks out from that Romania Muscle Fest Pro Show coming up in mid-November. So he's going to do that show despite the fact that he's already qualified for the 2020 Mr. Olympia. And again, I've gone over this a couple times, but this Romania show, even though it's in 2020, it's a qualifier for next year's Mr. Olympia. The cutoff date for the Olympia qualifiers was October 18th, if you guys were wondering. So I'm very impressed by both Regan and James. As you guys know, James is doing the British Grand Prix here in 2 weeks, even though James already qualified for the Olympia, and Regan is doing this Romania show, even though Regan has already qualified for the Olympia. And I really think most bodybuilders would probably shut it down after nabbing that Olympia qualification and focus exclusively on their Olympia prep with no distractions on the way to the Olympia. So I respect the fact that Regan and James both have that kind of workhorse characteristic of going ahead and trying to qualify for next year's Mr. Olympia by competing in these shows they don't really need to compete in. So I definitely respect the tenacity of these two bodybuilders, especially Regan. I think you're definitely going to see a tighter version of Regan than we saw at the Europa Spain show. I think he was definitely a little bit off from a conditioning standpoint. And in this update, he looks really dry. He's really vascular. You can see a lot of detail. And I think that might be why he's doing the Romania show, for a little bit of redemption and to build up some more steam going into the Olympia, because if he wins that show, that's going to give him a lot more momentum than coming in off of a fourth-place finish at that Europa show. So best of luck to Regan, and I think he's actually going to probably win this Romania show. Now, next up in the news, Good Vito. So Good Vito is an interesting bodybuilder, Vitaly Ugolnikov. He is sponsored by Larry Wheels, and it's going to make a good segue for the next story. So Good Vito, he posted this physique update. He just competed a couple weeks ago where he won the overall at the show that he did. He is not an IFBB Pro League pro just yet, but he is sponsored by Larry Wheels, and he is gaining a lot of traction because he's got some really interesting and unique characteristics to his physique. He's got these crazy quads. A lot of people would say they are reminiscent of Big Ramy, but he's got a crazy small waist, and even smaller waist than Ramy has, in contrast to the size of his legs. And he's got these big, wide, flaring lats, super wide shoulders, wide upper body, and just this tiny waist. And I think he has the most impressive amateur physique that's not in the IFBB Pro League right now. This year, we've talked about Nick Walker before he turned pro. Then Nick Walker turned pro, and he was a top finisher at his first pro show. We were right about Nick. We talked about Hunter Labrada before the Tampa Pro. Said he was going to win. He won that show. We were right about Hunter. And I think Vitaly is the next big up-and-comer, and he's got all the characteristics of just really an insane bodybuilder. I mean, his genetics are just off the charts, and I think this kid really has some serious potential whenever he chooses to, compete in the NPC or maybe make a shot at that pro card, because I, for one, really would like to see him on the Olympia stage. I think a physique like his is something we just haven't seen anything like his physique in men's open bodybuilding in the IFBB in such a long time, and I think it's really refreshing, the physique that he brings. This would be the direction that I would want to see bodybuilding go. He's still a mass monster. He's still a massive dude. He's got freaky body parts. He's got freaky legs, cross striations on the quads. Like I said, crazy wide lats, crazy arms. But even with all that size, he's still aesthetic. He's a very aesthetic bodybuilder for the mass that he carries. And that's what I think bodybuilding is all about, and that's what it's been lacking in lately. So shout out to the kid, Good Vito. Now, this is a segue to the next story because Larry Wheels sponsors Good Vito. So Larry Wheels, tomorrow, the arm wrestling match that everybody has been waiting for. Larry Wheels has been training for seriously competitive arm wrestling for the better part of a year now, if not more than that. He's going to be arm wrestling an arm wrestler by the name of Schoolboy, a Russian teenage arm wrestler. And don't let his youthful appearance fool you. He is extraordinarily strong, and he's got a really good track record in arm wrestling. And a lot of people say that him and Larry are a pretty evenly matched, even though Larry is much more muscular than him and has a lot better lifts than him as far as powerlifting and overall, weightlifting strength is concerned. But don't let those looks fool you, because there's a very good chance that you might see Schoolboy actually beat Larry Wheels when they do this arm wrestling match tomorrow. And I thought this was a pretty good promo video. I thought it was actually really intense. I think it's fake. Obviously, I don't think they really have that much intensity towards each other over an arm wrestling match. But I almost bought into it like it was a UFC weigh-in where they're, squaring off before the fight. So definitely tune into Larry Wheels' channel tomorrow, and we're going to see this happen, hopefully, and maybe Larry will win, and Larry will pursue a career in arm wrestling. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed yet already. We are now only 16,000 subscribers away from that 1 million subscriber milestone. So tell your friends, tell your family, make an extra account, hit that subscribe button, and we're going to get to 1 million before the Olympia. Hell, if we keep going at this pace, we're going to get there before Thanksgiving. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, Nick Strength and Power, signing out.